Want to watch football without the restrictions of blackouts or cable? Check out expressvpn.com to help you get access to all the live games. Sign up today using the link in the description to get 3 free months. Yo, what up, Bolt fam? It's the director. Chargers fans, can I just start the video off by showing off the thumbnail art for the last video? I'm highly influenced by what I'm doing at the time. Just finished Stranger Things Season 4. I was like, man, you know what would be kind of cool? Let's put together a thumbnail art in that style. If you guys haven't checked out the 2022 hype video yet, please do so. I'm very happy with how that one turned out. It just, dude, I don't know. It gets me fired up for the 2022 season. Additionally, before we jump into the topic, something awesome happened this morning via the Chargers Unleashed podcast. Super epic. I want 100% of my viewers to experience the epicness that transpired, okay? Go check out the Chargers Unleashed newest episode posted this morning. We got together pretty much the 5 families of the Chargers community. Chargers chat guy said somebody reached out to him saying, hey, you guys are the 5 families of the Chargers content creators. We all got together in the same space, right? The round table of the Chargers content guys, and man, was it a good time. Chargers Unleashed, Charger chat, Locked on Chargers, myself, and Guilty as Charged. It was a really good time, man. Definitely worth your time. I'm going to leave a link to the hype video and the Chargers mega crossover episode from Chargers Unleashed in the description and in the comment section if you guys do want to check that out. So down to business, down to brass tacks. What are we talking about today, Director? Well, we are talking about this man, Mike Williams. And you know what? Honestly, it was during that interview with the Chargers Unleashed guys that, you know, I had a thought that I wasn't able to cover, and it's all about Mike Williams. Mike Williams, in my opinion, on a trajectory of success, big money, right? That usually has big expectations carried with it. Signing a 3-year, $60 million contract early this offseason. I believe the Chargers have big plans in store for the first-round wide receiver. And you know what? We're going to get into all the details of that in today's video. Before we do get started, guys, hit us up with a like and sub. If you do enjoy this Chargers content, the small amount of time you guys take to hit the like, sub, and bell notification helps me out a lot, as well as question in the comments. We're going to keep it simple this time. How many yards and touchdowns do you think Mike Williams puts up in 2022? Let me know. With that, let's get into this one. Lights, camera, action. Mike Williams, the dawn of dominance. Can I also say, guys, I do apologize. I understand the state of the director's face. We got allergies. We got several late nights this week. We'll bounce back. We'll bounce back soon. Down to Mike Williams. Let's get into this, boys. Mike Williams, I know a lot of people super excited about the potential of him in 2022. Some people may be a little bit worried as well. You know, the Chargers did just fork over a nice chunk of change to keep number 81 on the roster. Me personally, I think we got ourselves a slam dunk deal, especially considering what the guy that the Jaguars signed, you know, shortly after that, way overpaying for the receiver. The Chargers got ahead of the market. We got ourselves a true wide receiver 1 at a pretty good deal. So let's start things off with why I think Mike Williams is on the verge of something great here in 2022. Starting with this topic, the X-Man. I am too tired to sing the jingle from the 90s, but you guys know where I'm getting at, right? Last year, we heard our offensive coordinator, Joe Lombardi, talking a lot about Mike Williams. He stated that we would see a lot more of him at the X receiver spot, and that kind of means, you know, it's pretty much where your traditional wide receiver 1 lines up, right? That's going to be your primary guy. And you know what happened? We did line up Mike Williams in the X receiver spot quite a bit last season, especially early, right? Early in the year, Mike Williams put up 471 yards and 6 touchdowns through his first 5 games. If you're a fantasy football owner of Mike Williams at the time, you're like, oh, dude, we hit the jackpot. We got a wide receiver 1 in the later rounds. This guy's going to explode. Well, he ended up the year with 1,146 yards and 9 touchdowns. He did slow down just a little bit, but you know what? He did flash brilliance in the early window of the season before slowing down just a tad. You know, in my opinion, most of his great / borderline elite performances came from that X wide receiver spot. And this is something that, you know, if I'm the Chargers, I take advantage of what this data has proven, if we're getting down to analytics like Brandon Staley likes to do. If I'm the Chargers, I take advantage of this immediately. We know what Mike Williams can be, the potential of Mike Williams, the X wide receiver. Let's continue that. I feel like last season, maybe a bit of, you know, testing the waters out, see what Mike Williams has to offer. And this year, it's time to take that plan into full effect. Okay, back to more on that in just a second. Next topic here, Herbert's wingman. I think Mike Williams' stats speak for itself, right? A big reason why I think Mike Williams was a top priority for the Chargers in bringing back to the team this season was Justin Herbert. Herbert is a special talent, right? And the Chargers fully recognize the talent of Justin Herbert. And keeping this unit together, Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, Austin Eckler, that was a big deal, right? The Chargers posted a top 5 offense last season. You want to keep the band together as long as possible. And Mike Williams provides what many players simply just cannot provide in the NFL. A weapon that is good at bodying out defenders, converting 50-50 balls. That is something you have got to keep in-house, especially if you got a quarterback. If you hit the gold mine, you hit the, jackpot, right, in the draft with Justin Herbert, you got to keep that kind of talent in-house. You want to make sure that your star quarterback has somewhat of some consistencies in terms of his weapons. And Justin could not have been more ecstatic to hear Mike's return. So that was a very big thing that played a big factor into why the Chargers did fork out a big contract for Mike Williams. Now back to the receiver of Mike Williams, right? We're going to say this segment, wide receiver 1B. And what does that mean? Well, the Chargers understand what they've got in Mike Williams. He is built like a true wide receiver 1. He's put up the numbers to warrant a solid wide receiver 1 for any team. You know what? People know it. I think in the past couple of days, news has surfaced that, I think it was Hunter Renfrow of the Raiders who was heavily trying to recruit Mike Williams. Oh, that just gets my blood boiling just a little bit. But the Chargers said, no way, man. We know what we got in Mike Williams as well. I'm sure every other team in the NFL would have been looking at Mike Williams, maybe even the Jaguars, instead of the other guy they decided to pick up, as a true wide receiver 1. He has posted the numbers. He's got the skill set. He is proven. And this begs the question, what is the next step for Mike Williams, who is now a Charger for the next 3 years? Well, I think in terms of, NFL football, theory and NFL football, observation, money talks. And money talks pretty loud sometimes. And in the case of Mike Williams, it also speaks very clearly for me, right? Mike Williams, who's now, 27? The magic year for the position. It tends to be the year that most wide receivers really find that breakout year. Mike Williams is about to see another breakout, in my opinion. I think last season was truly what we were looking for, right? We've seen seasons from Mike Williams where he puts up 1,000 yards. We've seen seasons from Mike Williams where he puts up 10 touchdowns, but never really at the same time. What we saw last season, the contract that the Chargers just paid Mike Williams, these are indicators to me of Mike Williams' role expanding with this team. And this is in no way disrespecting the talent and dominance of Keenan Allen, okay? Keenan Allen is our wide receiver 1. But to me, Mike is in no way our wide receiver 2. He is our wide receiver 1B, okay? And when you have 2 guys of that talent on one team, to me at least, there is a way to feature both. And the Chargers did a great job of that last season. To me, Keenan Allen, one of the most dominant route runners in football, some of the most secure hands you're going to find in the league, one of the best chain movers, also has a strength in terms of where he lines up. And just as we saw Mike Williams find some nice production from the X spot, Keenan, who just turned 30, should find more work in the slot this season, okay, where he does show some very impressive work. And this, to me, is a very intelligent move. One that, in my opinion, would reflect superior foresight of Keenan Allen's situation. And in his twilight years, Keenan still has a lot to offer the Chargers going forward, even as he does get a little bit older. And that, to me, brings up another really important topic. I know it's not strictly talking about Mike Williams, but in a way it is. So hang in there with me. We're going to talk about the Larry Fitzgerald effect. Okay, and this is one of the biggest points I always bring up when people ask me, are you worried about Keenan Allen? You know, is he about to hit his decline as he gets older? You know, this is something I talk a lot about. And finally, I do want to address in full why I feel about Keenan Allen the way I feel about Larry Fitzgerald. Because as Larry Fitzgerald got older, you know, the Cards and Bruce Arians did something very unique and very intelligent. Yes, Keenan is not getting any younger, but the dude is a heck of a football player. And yes, I view him a lot in the same way as I view Larry Fitzgerald in his career. Because Larry Fitzgerald saw a decline late in his career too, around the same age as Keenan is now. There were whispers that Fitz, you know, was getting ready to hit a wall and fall off the map. And instead, like we were saying, Bruce Arians said no. We are going to give Fitz every opportunity to continue thriving in the league. He is a special football player despite his age, despite what the analytics say, despite what the stats say, you know, after 30. We know what we've got in Larry Fitzgerald. So what did Bruce Arians do? He moved Larry Fitz to the slot. And I remember listening to interviews about Larry Fitz's reaction to that. Because, of course, if you're a featured wide receiver, you want to be on the outside. There's a status behind that. But Fitz was pretty open to the move. In fact, he embraced it. He was a little bit nervous because, again, it does indicate change. It does indicate maybe a lesser status of wide receiver one. But it worked. You know what happened? At age 31, Larry Fitzgerald posted his first 1,000-yard season since 2011. He scored 9 touchdowns and helped the Cards post 13 wins while also taking the NFC West. Larry wasn't done in the league. Bruce Arians recognized that, the Cardinals recognized that, and he continued to dominate for 3 more seasons, posting back-to-back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons. It wasn't until finally at age 37 that Larry did slow down and he decided to hang up the cleats. I don't know if officially, but he did stop playing it after 2020. And the reason why I'm describing this situation with Larry Fitzgerald to you guys is because this blueprint is so important to what the Chargers could do in 2022. Keenan, to me, is still one of the most dominant and underappreciated players in the league. But much like Larry Fitzgerald, late in his career, Keenan is by far most effective in the slot. And to me, Keenan still has many years to give the Bolts, even at age 30. If I'm the Chargers, I take the Larry Fitzgerald blueprint and I start to make the transition now. And I do think we started seeing semblances of that last season. Instead of letting Keenan Allen hit a wall, I want to put him in a position where he can continue to thrive. And what does this mean for Mike Williams? Well, he can now be the primary X receiver for the Chargers, a spot where he also thrives. He can put up his best numbers from that position. Keenan Allen can put up his best numbers from the slot. So with that explained, let's move on to the next topic, the tree of life. Right? This is where expectations start to grow. You know, if you got Mike Williams in the X spot, we got Keenan Allen in the slot. That's a big responsibility for Mike Williams. And we saw that he's capable of that last season a bit, right? Mike is going to start playing the role of a traditional wide receiver one very soon, in my opinion. Matter of fact, it's already begun, right? Last year was a sign of this team evolving in terms of their weapons. Mike is a fantastic weapon at the one spot, but it doesn't stop there. Lombardi has stated Mike's role is going to expand beyond, that of jump balls and contested catches. He mentioned that Mike is going to be heavily emphasized in terms of his ability to run a full route tree. And this is where the money comes in. With that fat contract comes big expectations and a demand for growth. And this season, I feel like the Chargers are ready to execute on that plan a little bit, right? What Lombardi saw last season in Mike was very promising. He proved that he can do it. Now it's the time to level up. If Mike is going to adopt the one role, he's got to improve his route running and separation just a little bit. You know what? I think he showed he can do it with what he did last year. Contrary to popular belief, Mike Williams is a solid route runner. He flashed especially early in the season last year, and he can create separation. Mike has been seen early in OTAs this year. Right? I almost guarantee a big point of emphasis on this offseason for him is working with Keenan to expand his route tree. Because I think Keenan and Mike Williams understand the shift that's going to happen in 2022. Again, this is me speculating. There's nothing officially saying, oh, Mike Williams, wide receiver 1, or at least the X spot, and then Keenan Allen in the slot. But if I'm the Chargers, this is what I'm doing. Mike Williams with dominant contested catching skills is scary. But a Mike Williams who can also create separation is lethal. A Mike Williams that works with Keenan Allen to expand that route tree is lethal. And if I'm the Chargers, I am heavily emphasizing this in camp, in OTAs. Whenever I can get my hands on Mike Williams, we are working on those routes. Because to play the X spot, you need to be able to do more than just come up with the 50-50 ball. That's a really unique and very powerful tool, but we can make Mike Williams even more than that. And at this magical age of 27, with this brand new contract, I think it's okay to level up your expectations, to get to work with Mike Williams a little more heavily, and to expand what he can do from the X spot, because he can be very, very good in playing at that position. So one of my last topics here, a duo of top 10 wide receivers. With this plan in mind, right, what could this all mean for the Chargers, for Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, specifically in 2022? Last year, Mike and Keenan ended the year wide receiver 12 and 13 in terms of yardage from the position. That is outstanding. To have two wide receivers post those kinds of numbers is pretty insane, right? I believe the Bolts could honestly feature two top 10 wide receivers in 2022. The last time this happened was actually not that long ago, 2020, when Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce ended the year number 8 and number 2 in the league. And I believe this Chargers team, with the vast improvements on the offensive line, defense, weapons, coaching, they have the tools to explode this season. And I think it really does start, obviously, with Justin Herbert, but then again, Keenan and Mike Williams. They know what they have. They extended Mike for a reason. They didn't sign another wide receiver. This is the group they know that they can dominate with. And after posting a top 5 offense last year, I believe this season could be even more impressive for the Chargers and more impressive for Mike Williams and Keenan Allen. With Mike and Keenan running the show at positions that they dominate in, again, keep in mind the X position and in the slot, we could see some insane statage in 2022. So early in the video, I asked you guys what you think Mike Williams could post in terms of stats in 2022. And keeping in mind that Keenan Allen obviously still going to be heavily involved as the wide receiver 1, be it playing from the slot position. What do you think in terms of statage that Mike Williams posts this year? Honestly, if I'm being bluntly honest, guys, again, the offensive line has taken huge leaps and strides in the right direction. I know right tackle's still a bit of a concern, but I think there's something behind the scenes that's going to alleviate a lot of those concerns for Chargers fans very closely here in the future, okay? The offensive line looks great. More time for the receivers. More weapons in terms of Gerald Everett. You got Isaiah Spiller. You got Austin Eckler still. You got Joshua Palmer, who had a solid season last year. That'll pull a little bit of attention away from Mike Williams. I think that Mike Williams could be a 1,200 yard and let's say 1,300 yards and 12 touchdown wide receiver next season. And I think that will easily put him in the top 10 of wide receivers next year. And I additionally think Keenan Allen could post around the same 1,100 yards, 9 touchdowns, maybe 1,200 yards. That would be insane. And that's asking a lot of these two players. But again, guys, just from what my eyes are telling me, from what I've seen from these two players playing different positions, of course, it's not going to always be Mike Williams in the X spot. It's not going to always be Keenan Allen in the slot spot. But having them primarily play in those positions, I think does exhume the best potential that you can get from both wide receivers. And I do think a 2 top 10 wide receiver season is very possible for both these guys and the Chargers in 2022. So that's kind of where I'm going to go with it. So you guys let me know in the comment section what you think. Okay. So once again, guys, in the description and in the comment section, please be sure to check out the Chargers 2022 hype trailer. This one's titled Legacy, and it was a very fun edit, something a little bit different than what I've done in the past, and I think it turned out very fire. and very energetic. Should get the hype going for the 2022 season, as well as a link to the Chargers Unleashed mega crossover episode with Chargers Unleashed, Charger Chat, Locked on Chargers, myself, and Guilty as Charged. Super fun roundtable of highly intelligent Chargers fans, hashing it out as to how we think the 2022 season is going to go. That's going to be a very, very fun one to catch if you guys haven't already. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining me. If you did enjoy this content, hit us up with a like and sub on your way out. I'm going to go hit the eye drops here in a second. We're going to go catch a nap and start our road to recovery for next week, where we will continue talking about the Chargers' potential in 2022 with all the new pieces that we've added. What will this equate to in terms of a full season for the Chargers next year? I think you guys are going to be pretty happy with it. This by far has been one of the most insane off seasons that I've ever seen as a fan, and I think it means big things in terms of ushering in a new era. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining me. This has been The Director. We'll see you next time, and as always, bolt up and stay frosty. Go watch Chargers Unleashed. It was absolutely epic.